Hello everyone and welcome to Luminar Coffee Break. I'm Angela Andrieux and today we're going to be talking about how to use gradient masks to target different areas of your image and make quick selective adjustments. Before we get started, I want to say hello to Pat, Maurizio, JGmail28. So glad you're able to join us today. All right, let's go ahead and get started. I have up on my screen this really beautiful beach scene, this circle of chairs around a fire pit on the beach. This is kind of like my happy place. Fill those chairs with some of my favorite people, my loved ones, my family, my friends. Put us on the beach around a warm fire pit on a cool day. This is perfection and absolute heaven for me. So this is the edited version of the image. Let me go ahead and show you the before. So there's the before image. You can see that I made quite a few changes to bring out the detail, the drama, and I also erased a few of the distractions. So here's the after image, and I find it to be much more compelling. Let me go ahead and walk you through this. Hello, David. Good morning in New Zealand. All right, let me right-click on my image. I'm going to go to Adjustments and revert this to the original, and we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to start with a template, and in looking at the For This Photo section, I'm going to scroll over to Overcast and go down to Arctic Sea, which I think really suits this image well. Let's go ahead and let that load. Now you'll see it did add a lot of blue tones, which I like to a point, but I feel like maybe it's a little bit too strong. We'll address that with some of our local edits. Let's go to Edit now. And I want to start by going to Composition AI and refining our crop. So right now the horizon is a little bit crooked. And I think that we can crop this to make it the composition a little bit stronger. So let's start by clicking our horizon perspective correction to straighten that out. That's much better. And now I want to go to my ratio and I want to choose a 16:9. And in doing this, this brings our attention much more to this foreground. It puts the horizon closer to that rule of thirds. I'm going to go ahead and maybe bring that down even a little further. Here we go. We can straighten that out. And I think that's a much more compelling composition. I'll hit return on my keyboard to go ahead and commit that crop. And from there, I want to go ahead and get rid of some of these distractions here in the background. To do that, I'm going to zoom in to, let's go to 200% just so we can all see what we're doing really well here. And I'm going to get rid of these couple of people here, maybe that piling out in the water, this sign here for sure. The ones that are farther out I don't find as distracting, but these ones here that are coming closer to our scene, I do find very distracting. So we'll go to our erase tool and let that load up. Click the erase button. Oops, excuse me. No, we don't want to do that quite yet. We haven't actually painted anything. Let me go ahead and I'm going to paint in around the things I want to erase. And make sure when you're erasing people or objects out in especially a light colored area that you take care of any shadows they might have left as well. So you can see this little bit of dark spot underneath our people. We want to make sure we get rid of that as well. So I'm just going to very carefully paint in, making sure that erase line overlaps the edges of the object we're trying to erase. There we go. We'll do that. Maybe come in here and get this one as well. And just paint these in ever so carefully. There we go. And the sign, get rid of that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and click erase. We'll let that run for a second. Now, if you guys have any questions as we go along, please don't hesitate to put those questions into the chat. I do my best to keep an eye on that while we go through the edit and answer those questions as we go through. So make sure you pop your questions in there. And if you're enjoying this, give us a thumbs up. Our producers really like to see that. So give this just a second. There we go. Those distractions are gone. I might get rid of this little pylon here out in the water as well. I find that because it's sticking up and intersects that horizon, that's a bit distracting. So let's click erase on that. And again, give that a moment to run. That one should be a little quicker. Almost there. All right, and that's gone. So let's go and zoom to fit to screen and let that load up and re-render there for a second. And now those distractions are gone. This is a much better, cleaner image. I might actually go in and get rid of this one right there too. That one's a bit annoying. Let's get rid of that. Just clean it up. I like to go through, especially my beach images, and really clean up a lot of stuff in the sand. I might even get rid of this little bit of junk out there as well. You can spend a lot of time getting very detailed as you go through and make those types of small edits. I think that's probably about all we have time for to do today as far as erasing. Let's go ahead and dig further into our edits. Now, I told you that I wanted to make some selective edits using the gradient mask tool. So this is a really easy one to put that tool to use because we have a defined horizon and we can target the area above, which is the clouds, and the area below, which is the sand and this gorgeous circle. So let's go to our local masking tool, and I want to warm up the sand because right now the sand feels very cold and uninviting. So we'll click on Add and Basic, and I'm going to go to Paint Mask and choose a gradient mask instead. And then I'm going to draw a gradient line up from the bottom, and the middle line is going to be your transition point. Everything between these is going to be blurred and blending that transition. So pull that maybe a little bit more that way. Just adjust it, get it where I want it to go. And now I'll grab my warmth slider and pull that up to the right, and we'll warm up that sand to make it look a little bit more inviting, not quite so cold. There we go. I think that's pretty good. And now I think right now the sand looks a little bit crunchy for my taste, meaning there's a little bit too much detail. The sand, because it's been walked in so much, again, it doesn't look as inviting. We can pull back a little bit on our structure to just take some of the harshness of those edges off, and that makes the sand look even more inviting. So let's go ahead and turn that off and then back on again. And you can see it's a subtle but powerful change in making you want to go take a walk on that beach. Now, as we look at this, I want to bring out a little bit more detail in those clouds, and I also want to take a little bit of the blue tones out of those clouds. I feel like the template we used, it had a neat tone to it, but the color was a little bit strong. So we're going to do another gradient mask, or in this case, we can actually copy this gradient mask and invert it. So let's do that. Let's go ahead and copy our mask, and we'll go up here to Add and Basic. So we're adding another local mask. Give that a second to go. And then we'll go to our ellipses menu again and hit Paste. Now, to show you where this mask is happening, if I click on Show Mask right now, we'll see that that red overlay is on our foreground, and we actually want to impact the opposite part. So to do that, we go up to the ellipses and click on Invert. And now our mask will be on the opposite side of the image. We could create another gradient if we wanted to, but you might as well reuse what you've already created. It can save you a little bit of time and effort. So just invert the one you already have, and now we're ready to make changes just to that sky. Let's see here. David is saying, can I see where the mask is, e.g. a red highlight? There you go. I hope this is exactly what you're looking for. All you need to do is go to that ellipses menu, and you can click Show or Hide Mask. Right now I'm going to go ahead and hide the mask, so now we can focus on what these sliders are doing to that region. For now, I want to go to my saturation, and let's go ahead and just pull back on some of that saturation, and that takes some of that blue tone out of there. I might pull up on my structure a little bit more just to bring out the drama of those clouds. Not too much because there's already a lot of drama there, and I don't want to make it look fake. And because we warmed up that sand, I also want to slightly warm up that sky. And the reason for that is you won't get warm colored sand with a cool colored sky. It just doesn't happen naturally in nature, so it's going to kind of make the picture look unnatural if we don't balance that out a little bit. So I'm just going to pull up that sky just a tiny bit, not nearly as much as we did for the sand, but just enough to where the tone of the light feels natural and like it all fits together. So from there, let's go ahead and take a look here at what we did here for our sky. I'm going to turn that one off and then back on again. As you can see, it's a subtle change. The biggest difference was we toned down a lot of those blues, and really by bringing up the structure and warming it up a little bit, these highlights actually have a lot more detail now as well. As a final finishing touch for this image, I like to go back and add a nice soft big vignette. I'm going to go back to the tools, go down to vignette, and we'll start by bringing our amount slider all the way down to -100. And I do this because I want to see where this vignette is affecting the photo. We don't leave it there. This is just to give us a visual representation as we configure it, and then we can back it off. So I'm going to bring down my size a bit smaller, and I love that the shape of this vignette is almost exactly perfect for the shape of the oval of the chairs there on the sand. I might bring that down a little bit more. Then we can go into our advanced settings. I'll bring up the inner light a little bit just to kind of guide us into where we want to go. Maybe right about there. I always like to add a lot of feathering. This gives a nice smooth transition between the dark and light areas. And then I go back to my amount slider and I pull that back up to where it looks natural. So I think Right about there is really good. Most of my vignettes end up hanging out between 50 and 60. It really depends on the image, but that's kind of where I end up hanging out. If you like to look at numbers, I like to look at numbers. So, hello, Brian. Glad you're able to be here today. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look here at our before and our after. I think we've created a much more inviting scene. It's a lot of fun. It looks great. And like I said, I really want to be there right now with some of my favorite people. Now, if you look at this edit and you feel like maybe it looks good, but you went a little too far, you can always go down here to the overall adjustment slider and pull back on that slider to bring back a little bit of the original if you feel like you took it a little too far. So in this instance, I think probably around 85% or so looks exactly where it should be. So I hope you guys like this. I hope you guys understand a little bit more how to use those gradients. Now, gradients are cool because you don't have to have an exact horizon. A straight horizon helps, and that's the most logical time to use them. But you can also turn those gradients at an angle and use them for hillsides and for other things as well. So make sure you get in there, play with your local masks, get to know not only your gradient, we talked about radial masks last week, and of course, painting your masks. This is a great way to control different areas of your image because not all areas need the same adjustments. I hope you guys like this. I want to remind you that we are doing photo club presentations. So if you run a photo club and you would like to see Vanelli or I come to your photo club virtually via a webinar and do a presentation just for you, we'll talk about Luminar AI, how AI affects photo editing and photography in general. It's about a 45-minute presentation. If that sounds fun, email me at angela@skylum.com, and I would love to hear from you and get that set up for you and your group. Typically, we're working right now with English-speaking groups in the U.S. However, if we can make the time zone difference work with other parts of the world, we're happy to try to do that. So I hope to hear from you. With that, I'm going to wish you a wonderful day. I have a quick message here for you at the end. Stick around for that. And other than that, I will see you on Thursday. Bye, everyone. In honor of Women's Day, March 8, 2021, Skylum's Marketplace will feature 4 very talented women who have created signature templates for Luminar AI. Michelle Grenier has designed 12 templates for your sports and action portraits. Nancy DeCampo has designed 10 templates for nature in the city. Kate Fellini designed 12 beautiful tones of the year. And Eliana Lopez has designed 10 templates to enhance natural colors. Check them out in the Skylum Marketplace under Signature Templates.